welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live.
Bailey Price Media, I like it.
Man, what's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live. Today, I got a special show for you. Super Bowl champion, Tulane legend. We're going to talk some Tulane today, too. Super Bowl champion Shaun King joins the show. We got a lot to break down today, including Tennessee quarterback, the $8 million man, as they call him, Nico Iamaleava, being in contract negotiations with Tennessee. College football? Unbelievable headline we got to discuss with Mr. King here. We're also going to discuss Jaden Rashada, Georgia transfer quarterback. He's also in a lawsuit against the University of Florida and Billy Napier. He is in contact with Tulane, so I got to talk to Shaun about that. Also, the TJ Finley situation, how that relates, and whether Tulane will actually get Jaden Rashada. So I got to ask Shaun about that. We're also going to discuss Colorado losing their top rusher last season, Isaiah Gustav. They have a loaded running back room at the University of Colorado. Obviously, Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk is their coach now. We're just going to discuss that and so much more. If you're watching, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army. And I got a special announcement about a show that I appear on, maybe about Colorado football. Stay tuned to the end of the show, and I'll drop that announcement for you guys. But without further ado, go ahead and bring in our special guest, Super Bowl champion, Tulane Green Wave legend, Shaun King. Shaun, what up, man? Happy Thursday. How you doing?
What's up, brother? Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. Sounds great, man. I appreciate you joining, man. This is going to be a great one. Lots to talk about here, man, and interesting headlines across NFL and college football I got to ask you and discuss about. And let's waste no further time and get into it. I know you're a busy man, Mr. King. First thing I got to ask you here. Nico Iamaleava, the $8 million man, and Tennessee are in contract negotiations ahead of the 2025 season. Shaun, this is a 2025 college football headline if I've ever seen it. Contract negotiations in college football are here, and Nico and Tennessee are in contract negotiations now. Shaun, Nico and Tennessee, he's lost a lot of weapons on the offensive side here. From Squirrel White, a hell of a receiver who's been there since the Hendon Hooker days, transferred to Florida State. You got Cam Seldon transferring to Virginia Tech. You got Caleb Webb transferring to Maryland. Chaz Nimrod transferring to South Florida. So interesting development here. Shaun, what are your thoughts on Nico being on contract negotiations with Tennessee, and what are his chances of hitting the portal? What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is kind of – how do I want to put this? It's what you sign up for with the way the current system is set up. Mm-hmm. And it's also the delusion that exists on the athlete side. Tennessee didn't reach their ceiling last year because of Nico.
Yeah, that's a great point, Shaun.
I mean, they had a national title team at almost every other position.
Yeah,
the quarterback was the problem.
Absolutely.
So basically, you're overpaid. So now you think you're going to hold us hostage to get more money? Bye, Felicia.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, and Shaun, Nico obviously had one of the most talked about NIL deals, one of the first big NIL deals that we saw from the quarterback position, rumored to be up to $8 million coming out of high school for Nico here. And yeah, like you mentioned last season, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I mean, we saw Tennessee play. Nico definitely held them back in some ways this past season. He threw for 19 touchdowns, over 2,600 yards. But Shaun, definitely some lost potential in that last season here, and still some development needed from Nico. Go ahead.
And this is why kids shouldn't be eligible for NIL out of high school. This price point is based on a projection that collegiate programs made. I'm not just going to say Tennessee because obviously he had other suitors. A projection they made on an athlete coming out of high school and what he potentially could be in college. NIL, name, image, likeness. he had not produced any benefits from an NIL standpoint for Tennessee because he hadn't played there yet.
Right. Yeah.
And what was the narrative last year? Well, if Nico can consistently complete the deep ball, well, if Nico can play at a high level, then Tennessee is extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't lived up to the 4 years, $8 million that they gave him.
I agree and that's why I thought this development was so interesting. He had a huge NIL deal, and I'm like, Shaun, I don't think he played his way to a new contract, or I can't even believe we're saying that in college football, but I don't think his play warrants a new contract extension, so to speak, in college football. Unbelievable headline here. And I now, Shaun, I got to ask you a real question here. What are the actual chances of Nico hitting the portal here? And that's a huge. I mean, I get that Nico struggles this past season, but that's a huge hit for Tennessee to lose their starting quarterback going into this year. If that were to happen, I don't know if it's going to happen. What are the chances of that?
I mean, I don't know the particulars about the deal, so it's hard to say. But I mean, if I was in control of Tennessee, I would already been trying to out recruit him. So I mean, I don't know if they have or they haven't. I don't know what Josh got going on in that quarterback room. I haven't looked at it. But I mean, I wouldn't be beholden to any player.
Right, agreed.
I'm just telling you, especially a guy that's underachieving. What did JB say about this? Because JB knows the family. This is JB's crew. Did he try and defend this?
JB has not reacted. This is a new development.
We got to talk about that tomorrow because I want to see if he tries to defend this flammery.
Yeah, I'm really curious of JB's take on this. I'm sure, without even hearing his take, that he's going to go at Nico for this. And Nico comes from Long Beach. I know JB knows. I think JB played with his uncle or coached his uncle at some point in Compton College. But man, yeah, I think JB would definitely side with Tennessee on this one and call this player empowerment is what he would probably describe it as if I had to take a wild guess. And Shaun, Tennessee, I got to ask you about them going into the season in the SEC. I think pretty decent year last year, but I think a lot left on the table, so to speak, in the way they went out at Ohio State. Now they've lost a lot of their weapons on offense for Nico here. Kind of alarming here. And I don't know if you remember last season against Ohio State, they came out with no shirts on here. Gruden and Will Howard had a chance to talk about that. I want to show this. Take a look.
Playoffs start, and here comes the Tennessee Volunteers. It's a cold night.
It was.
In Columbus.
It was. Man.
And you see these guys come roaring out of here, the SEC, the Tennessee Vols, without their shirts. And it seemed like they were trying to intimidate you guys.
Oh, yeah. Well, the funny thing is they came out with their shirts on, or their shirts off, and they ran over to the opposite end zone and immediately put them back on. I was like, what the fuck are these clowns doing, man? Like, at that moment, I knew we had them.
Damn. Shaun, go ahead. Your thoughts there.
Is this the same video that Gruden compares Will Howard to Josh Allen?
Yeah, in that interview, yeah.
I can't take the video serious, man.
Yeah. Are you a fan of John Gruden's what was it? Retired
shout out
to
Gruden. Shout out to Gruden. I mean, him, Trump, and Deion Sanders, boy, they went to the same school of marketing.
Yeah, they did. Now, going back to Nico and Tennessee here, I just thought that was a headline that's a 2025 college football headline. College football contract negotiation, Shaun. Unbelievable. 5 or 6 years ago when you were back coaching here, could you have foreseen something like this where there are active college contract negotiations?
No, this is crazy. And the NCAA got to get a hold of this. I'm all for the guys getting compensated, but I'm for the guys that earn the compensation.
Yeah. And
then I feel like the contract should be binding. Like, I'm not for all this jumping around and.
Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, if you want to be a pro, then let's just really make it professional sports then. Let's put a salary cap in place. Let's start being able to fine guys for being late, for conduct detrimental to the team. Like, let's treat them like pros then. If they really want to be pros, let's treat them like pros. And then let's be able to cut them because in NFL, those contracts aren't guaranteed. So let's really turn it into pro football if that's really what the kids want.
Or at least call it like pro football. Yeah, turn it into it. I mean, I think there's still a narrative out there that I run into all the time. All people in my comments, they're still student athletes. It's not. It's like they're acting like
Like
it's
right now, the athlete gets all the benefits and none of the repercussions. In professional sports, you show up late, boom, that's 10K, 15K. Yep. You late to meetings, practice, you acting crazy out there, conduct detrimental to the team, boom, you get suspended for a game, that's a paycheck. Like all that stuff got financial responsibilities attached to it. Like y'all want to be pros? Okay, come on over here.
Yeah, I'm with that, Shaun. That's a real take right there, 100%. And those who don't want to look at the truth of what college football is in this day and age, ain't hearing you. Shit, they definitely ain't hearing what you just said. But nonetheless, Nico and Tennessee are in active contract negotiations. We'll see how that plays out. And if Nico enters the portal, that's going to be a huge development to discuss as well. Shaun, let's move forward here. I got you on the show here, Tulane legend Shaun King. I got to ask you about Tulane quarterbacks here. Let's start with this. So Jaden Rashada, Georgia transfer quarterback, is in active talks and is in contact with Tulane. Shaun, let me get your thoughts on this. With the TJ Finley situation, him being suspended from the team, what are your thoughts on Tulane being in contact with Jaden Rashada? Go ahead.
I imagine a bunch of teams are always doing their due diligence at all times.
Yep.
I haven't talked to coach since spring football started, so I'm not up to date on the current events. I did have Jaden at IMG for a short period of time. Talented kid. I still think his greatest issue is how to handle competition emotionally.
Right. Yeah. Why do you say that?
It takes a special, athlete to continue to chase greatness when things don't go your way.
For sure.
And it just seems like Jaden shows up at a place, if it don't work out in his favor, then he leaves and goes somewhere else. At some point, I think you're going to have to just make the decision, okay, I got to fight through this adversity. I got to, even if I don't win this initial competition, I just got to keep becoming a better version of me. So
absolutely.
We'll see how it plays. I mean, he's been to a lot of schools, man. And if you go back to his sophomore year of high school, Jaden might have been 10 schools.
Yeah. That's a real. I mean, and we're gonna talk about the lawsuit against the University of Florida in a second, but he has been to a lot of schools, and that is an interesting tidbit you dropped. You coached him at IMG. He seems to shy away from competition here, having been to, like you mentioned, probably 10 schools damn near. Shaun, before we talk about the lawsuit, can you talk about Jaden Rashada as a player? What are some of his strengths that you like, his weaknesses, and then his potential as a college football quarterback? And if he were to be for your Tulane here, his potential as a starter potentially. Go ahead.
Well, he's got a lot of natural ability to throw the football. And he's a tall kid. He's kind of built like Jaden Daniels in a lot of ways. I don't think he's quite as tall as Jaden, maybe. I haven't seen Jaden in a couple years, so I don't know where he is height-wise currently. But he was on that developmental path to be that body type. Now, he's not the athlete Jaden was, and he doesn't throw the ball consistently as well, but just trying to give the listener and the viewer an idea of what he looks like in person. And he can make some throws. I just mean he's got to stay healthy, and he's got to be willing to fight through adversity.
Yeah.
And, this is a message as much for his father as it is for him. Like, I mean, it ain't always the school.
Right.
You got to leave all these times. Like, it's not always the school.
Yeah.
If he's really as good as he thinks he is, and he stays at Georgia, well, Carson Beck left.
Yeah.
So you should be next in line there, right? If you really, have your shit in order, and you are improving, in the areas that you're deficient, then when a Carson Beck decides to leave, they don't have anybody else on the roster to replace him, then shouldn't that be you?
Yeah, and you would think, right, if you're all about competition, you're confident in who you are as a player, and you're at Georgia, you see Carson Beck go, and your competition, old boy, the backup here, you saw play in the playoff a little bit against Notre Dame. Interesting that Jaden Rashada elected to transfer from that, Shaun. That's a great point you mentioned there. My next question going on Rashada here, He and the University of Florida, he's suing the University of Florida and Billy Napier, and a judge ruled Tuesday that Jaden Rashada's fraudulent misrepresentation / inducement conspiracy to commit fraud and negligent misrepresentation claims against Florida coach Billy Napier and the University of Florida will move to discovery and go towards trial here. Shaun, this is, again, 2025 college football headline here. Jaden Rashada suing Billy Napier and the University of Florida. Now the claims here move to discovery and goes toward trial here. Shaun, can you give your thoughts on the lawsuit and what this whole situation here? Go ahead.
Well, generally, just having some attorney friends, and I haven't spoken to them specifically about this, but in our conversations as we smoke cigars and watch games over the course of the last 15 years, this generally means that the judge didn't see so little evidence that he threw it out, and that the two parties were not interested or could not meet some middle ground for a settlement.
Right.
So that's what this means. Yeah. The judge looked at it. He was like, even if it was just a tad bit, it was enough there to potentially go to trial and let a trial determine it. And the two parties, either because they didn't want to or because they couldn't agree, didn't reach a settlement. Because trials are expensive.
Yeah.
Lawyer fees, you go to trial, that's more money.
That is very true, Shaun, and him going to court over NIL money here, I guess Billy Napier offered him something he didn't get, and I don't know too much about the background of this lawsuit. I know Carl Reed, when this came out 6 months ago or so, kind of rushed to it and said, don't believe all the headlines here. Go find out the truth about the Rashada lawsuit. Shaun, what are your thoughts on the actual lawsuit and Rashada suing Billy Napier in Florida over alleged NIL funds he didn't receive, or he so-called he was promised something he didn't get?
I don't know how the law works in Florida. I would imagine this will be different from state to state.
Right.
Is a verbal contract binding, and in what situations? The interesting thing is the "and others," because generally the head coach is not involved in the NIL negotiation part. Yeah, so it says misrepresent against Florida coach Billy Napier and others. So the "and others" I would assume are boosters or people involved with the collective. So now, can you sue a third party element with a NIL student athlete to university discussion? So like that means, for instance, okay, say you're interested in going to Tulane. I played at Tulane. I know Coach Sumrall, but I'm speaking, I'm saying, hey Bailey, what if we gave you $1.5 million a year? Would you come? And you say, okay, and I like, cool, all right, you got that. But I ain't talked to Coach Sumrall. Coach Sumrall didn't tell you that. Yeah. But I'm attached to the university. Is he liable? Is university like, this is that gray area because it's not regulated. There are no stipulations and guidelines. So it's just the damn wild, wild west.
Right. Yeah. The Wild Wild West. And it's good. I don't know the laws in Florida on that here. And I don't know the actual interaction here. I know Rashada is suing a big time Florida Gators booster, along with others, claiming they defrauded him out of millions of dollars by backing.
Think about our conversation. Just make me the big Florida Gator booster.
Yeah.
Am I talking to Billy Napier? Am I not? Am I just, on that liquor one night and I'm feeling good? And I say, hell yeah, because of the stars you got coming out of high school and we don't really got a quarterback. Yeah. And if that conversation happens, is that legally binding if I'm not representing the University of Florida and Billy Napier directly? Just because I'm a booster, that doesn't mean that legally I represent them. If we haven't communicated and talked and they know what it is that I'm representing, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because you went to a university, don't make you a part of the power structure. Even if you're a big booster.
Yeah.
Like that's why I don't think Jaden, unless he got it in writing and it officially has a signature of Napier or University of Florida, I just think it's going to come down to a big booster saying and promising something that ultimately he ended up reversing his mind on. It didn't have nothing to do with Napier in Florida.
Yeah, that's huge. And like you mentioned, we talked about the lawsuit here moves to discovery, goes towards trial. Interesting development there. And Jaden Rashada, as he's in the portal, transferred from Georgia, in active talk, so to speak, with Western Kentucky, UConn, and your school, Tulane. So interesting. We'll discuss this more as more news comes out about this and whether Jaden Rashada ends up at Tulane there. But Shaun, let's stick on the Florida Gators here. I got to ask you about DJ Lagway. So Florida Gators have started spring practice here, and DJ Lagway, Shaun, is not throwing here. And this has been a huge story here across social media, and people are questioning, is there something more with DJ Lagway's injury and as to why he's not throwing here? Shaun, before I get your take on this, I want to show DJ Lagway's quarterback coach, JP Tillman, telling us the truth about DJ Lagway not throwing in Florida spring practice here. Take a look.
I talked to him yesterday. He can throw. It's not like he can't throw. It's just him. It's like I said, them taking him through the precautionary things. Because right now, again, like I said, I mean, we know what he can do. His legs were taken from him, and he threw the ball from the pocket. He was shrugging off big old D linemen and throwing bombs down the field. So we know that part, and so it's something that the coaches, the training staff, and everybody else is just keeping a great eye on, great detail, and getting him to the point where he is exactly where he needs to be, but also they feel like he's going to be consistently the same all the way through this whole thing.
The interesting comments from DJ Lagway, his private quarterback coach. Shaun, let me ask you, DJ Lagway reportedly has shown growth throughout spring practice despite a lack of throwing. I thought that was an interesting headline considering he's a quarterback. But Shaun, break down the truth of DJ Lagway not throwing in spring practice. Is it precautionary? Is Florida taking the precaution to make sure he doesn't re-aggravate his injury and set him back? Or is there something more to this? Go ahead.
Well, what was his injury and when did he get hurt? I thought he played in the bowl game for Florida.
Yeah, but I believe he had a shoulder injury that we haven't seen him throw here. I can give you more context here in a sec, but I'd like to know the truth about this. And let me ask you, how could a quarterback show serious growth without throwing in spring practice? Any thoughts there?
You in the media, man. You should know better than to believe these reports. Who's this? I mean, GatorCountry.com, he got a boss, right? Yeah. He got to provide content. So,
yeah.
All right, this something I was given. Let me go write this positive story on DJ, and maybe somewhere down the line they'll give me the inside scoop on something. I can break some news.
So according to Billy Napier, Lagway has a shoulder injury and a lower body injury. And two people speaking to USA Today, great publication, on the condition of the sensitivity of Lagway's injury, says Lagway's shoulder injury could eventually need surgery, and his lower body injury is a core injury.
So that just means he's banged up after the regular season.
Right.
And they want to give some reps to some other guys. They kind of know what they have with DJ Lagway. They're confident in what they have. And making sure nobody gonna finna run up on me over here. They're confident in what they have, and they think his body needs a little rest.
Okay. So to Florida Gators country, there's no alarming here from DJ not throwing here. It's just a precautionary thing.
If you want a 5-alarm fire, then look what's happening at Tennessee.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
Lagway ain't talking about leaving. He ain't talking about renegotiating. This is just about getting him completely healthy because of the style of quarterback he is. He's going to be involved in a lot of physical contact. Sure. He's not a pure thrower of the football. He's not a run first guy, but he's not a pure thrower of the football. And he's a big kid. He's got an awkward delivery, but he's actually pretty accurate throwing the ball. I thought he played better at the beginning of his, tenure there as a starter than he did as the end. And maybe that is because he wasn't healthy. Right. When you look at the bowl game and kind of at the end of the season, the ball didn't have as much zip on it. Maybe there was something that he was fighting through, and this is them, being cautious with a guy that I think can be really good.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody I think has a lot of potential this season. Now, Shaun, I've seen several lists from those in the media ranking their quarterbacks and top quarterbacks in college football, and several of them have DJ Lagway at the top of their list. Shaun, going into this season, how do you have DJ Lagway ranked in terms of the top quarterbacks in college football? Is he at the top of your list? Are you an Arch Manning guy? I'm a big fan of Lenore Sellers at South Carolina. I think he has a lot of potential going into this season with Shane Beamer. But how do you view DJ Lagway in the scope of top college football quarterbacks?
I think he's in that top 8 to 10 group.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the kid's name, but I think the kid at BYU right now is my number one guy.
Yeah. Jewish kid. Yeah,
he can ball. But I haven't done a deep dive yet. I mean, with it being the draft around the corner, I've been so inundated with that stuff.
Oh yeah,
I haven't really got. And I tend not to get into college football now until the summer. I tend to wait till after the spring transfer portal because I don't like to work twice as hard. So like, going through the college rosters in the spring and familiarizing yourself with, Bailey Price being at the University of Colorado, then come to fall, Bailey Price is at Colorado State or at Utah. Like, I just tend to like to wait until they can't transfer anymore and then start doing a deep dive.
Yeah, for sure. And Shaun, I don't blame you there. And there's a lot to be seen here as the spring portal. We're seeing all kind of movement here. And I, like you mentioned, I respect you for good, that answer. Absolutely. And like I mentioned, I'm big on Lenore Sellers. I think Lagway has a lot of potential.
I like Sellers. Yeah, I like Lagway, Sellers. There's a couple kids out there. Hell, Nico could take off. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Arch could be what everybody anticipates and expects him to be. Like, it's going to be interesting to watch. But I'll keep my eye on the kid from BYU. He's really good.
Absolutely, Shaun. And we'll talk more quarterbacks here later on in the summer here after the spring portal window here. But Shaun, let's go. Let's talk some Colorado Buffaloes here. So Colorado lost their top rusher last season, Isaiah Augustive. Now, Colorado, obviously, last season, their offense was not running back focused at all. But for that type of offense, I think Augustive made the most of it. Hell of a running back, in my opinion, coming from Arkansas, 6'2", 210. Hell of an athlete here. He's pretty damn quick here, too, as you see him racing against a fellow Colorado teammate here. But, Shaun, Colorado loses their top rusher from this past season. Now, not to worry, Shaun. Colorado obviously has their running back coach and a Hall of Famer, Marshall Faulk, and a deep running back room going into this season. You got Brandon Hood, who we haven't even seen yet, who I think is going to be an absolute stud. You obviously got Micah Welch, an Ohio State transfer, who we got to see last season, Dallin Hayden. But, Shaun, this is a big development here as we get into the spring portal window. Isaiah Augustive is no longer with Colorado football program. Your thoughts?
This is going to be something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because as great as I guess Colorado has been in the portal, finding elite NFL caliber talent at the skill spots, they hadn't figured running back out. Like, they haven't had a transcendent back, since, Prime got to campus.
Right.
And there's been a lot of different names. Now,
Yeah.
take away the fact they haven't been effective running the football, but they haven't had, like, an NFL caliber running back since Deion got there.
Yeah. And
there hadn't been an Omarion Hampton or Ashton Genty or Caleb Johnson or Quinshawn Judkins or Travion Henderson. Like, there are even a Cam Scottable. Like, they hadn't had a draftable player at that position in the 2 years Prime has been there. So maybe Falk can upgrade the talent level in the room. Why this kid chose to leave, you never know. They could be changing to a different kind of scheme for this year's team. Maybe he didn't think he was getting enough touches. Maybe it was something on his end and he wasn't holding up his responsibilities, whether it be academically or, some kind of team rule. You never know in these situations. Maybe somebody offered him more bread.
Yeah, I think two of the reasons that you mentioned are in play. That last one that you just mentioned, probably, but also, Shaun, I don't know if you know too much about the Colorado running back room, but I think it's actually pretty deep here, especially going into this season. Two guys that I highlighted, one of them I talked about, Brandon Hood, who we hadn't even seen, who I think they're going to actually look to and use. He's the brother of Colton Hood, who's Colorado's one of their cornerbacks here, who I think is going to have an absolute breakout season this season. But they also have Micah Welch, who we saw last season as a true freshman. Him and Brandon Hood are both in the same class here. Any possibility that Augusta was the leading rusher last season, but they told him, hey, we're going to give these guys more touches. You're not going to be the premier back here, so to speak. Is that a possibility?
Anything is possible. I mean, the thing when you bring a Marshall Faulk in the room, not Faulk coming in there with credibility, but Faulk coming in there, with his own preferences.
Right.
Like, what kind of running back does Faulk want, and is he that type of back from a skill standpoint? Like when you transition like that, it could be anything, not necessarily something bad. Sometimes, the player just not a good fit for what they want to do, and they're not willing to adjust what they're doing to fit the player. So it's best for both parties, if they go their separate ways.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it. I mean, since Prime has got there, every transfer portal running back they've gotten supposedly was like a great ad, and none of them have really been that good. So I'm gonna take a wait and see approach.
Yeah, and Shaun, you watched CU last season. Let's be honest. I think it was gonna be pretty hard for a running back to have a really good season last year, just from the lack of carries, lack of variation in the run game. CU had a very vanilla run game, so to speak, and Matt and I are very frustrated about that. Now they bring in Marshall Faulk. Coach Flea goes to Wyoming, so it absolutely could be a coach's preference type of thing. I also think that having Brandon Hood, coming back fully healthy this season, he was coming off a torn ACL and was recovering last year, and we didn't see him at all. But him, Michael Welch here as a true freshman going into a second season, I think they want to see more of him because I think he's a freaking stud too. And then Dallin Hayden, I'm sure they're going to give plenty of carries to him coming from Ohio State. We saw him briefly in committee last season, and now I would take a wild guess that he's going to be the premier back going into this season for CU. Shaun, before I move on, is this an alarming headline from you? CU's losing their top rusher from last season, or is it just part of the new era of college football here?
I think it's just part of the new era of college football. Like, here's the thing. When you get a transfer in, not only do you got to like the transfer got to like you.
Right.
He got to like being in, we're talking UC, so I'll use UC. We got to like being in Boulder. He got to like the campus, the city. He may think he wants to be there and get there and be homesick or think it's too cold or, kids in college at that age, man, they're very emotional.
Yeah, that's true.
And they change like the wind. So, now that they can freely move around, some of them just are like a passport bro. Like, they want to see how many schools they can get to, how they got eligibility. So, I mean, you never know with these youngins these days, man.
Yeah, for sure. And Shaun, we talked Marshall Faulk. They brought in NFL veteran CU alum Andre Gerard in to go with George Hageman, who's also an NFL veteran, and then Gunnar White as 3 offensive line coaches. Are you expecting to see a run game out of CU this season, an actual run game that's got some variation, got some counter, got some gut, got some different things that we like to see here? Or do you expect more of the same here with Kadon Salter, our quarterback here? Go ahead.
Hold on. Big Head don't transition to on the field coach? Big Hageman don't transition to on the field coach?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, that head strategic. My man, shout out to my guy George Hageman. Hageman was my offensive lineman in Tampa.
Oh,
and, he was my O-line coach at IMG.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I knew he was at IMG.
Head, my dude, man. Shout out to Head. Congrats.
Yeah, it's a big dude. That's a big dude right there, Shaun, man. It's a big dude, George. Colorado brought him in last season as their director of motivation.
Right, he came as an off the field. Yeah.
And now they promoted him, Gunnar White, who was with Prime at Jackson State, and then Andre Gerard are the 3 co-offensive line coaches. If I had to guess, it's going to be probably Andre Gerard leading that room. But I didn't know you played with George and coached with him. That's dope, man.
Here's what's interesting about the way college football is trending. And it's not a Colorado thing. It's now that they don't have staff limits and you can hire all these coaches. I mean, everybody ain't willing to be an Indian. Like, sometimes people want to be chiefs. And my only, interesting thing is the messaging the same? Like, especially with all the turnover. You know, and everybody's got their own little nuances and the ways they like to coach and pet peeves, like things that they prioritize as being important to participate in under their leadership. Like, generally, that's already a part of the culture when you're trying to build a championship. Like, I just don't know, like, with all this turnover on the staff and on the roster, can you ever get a cohesive enough group together to put something, you know, inside of a building over there that's going to last forever, meaning a trophy?
It's a great question, Shaun. And one who I think coaches across college football definitely share the same sentiment as you. And I don't know, Shaun. And I would love to talk to an active college football coach who thinks that you can build a culture in it. Because I think a lot of the themes and news that we talk about seems to be coming from programs not having a culture, so to speak. Think
about this, Bailey. If you were an O-lineman that came with Coach Prime initially, you were on your 5th or 6th O-line coach going into your 3rd year.
What? No, it would be
because the first year you brought the first year you brought the dude. This is San Diego State now with the OC. Then last year you had what's the big fella that left? But he had an assistant, right?
It was really him commanding the.
Okay, so that's 2. Now you got 3. So that's 5.
Gunnar White's been there. Gunnar White's the one guy who was there, who's still there now.
So 4. It's your fourth O-line coach going into your 3rd year, and they're all different. They're all different. Like, listen, what makes a great coach outside of being able to develop different body types and skill sets is players knowing and understanding your pet peeves. Meaning, like, if you go play for, like, if a peer asks him, well, if I go play for Coach King, how's it gonna be? Oh, he gonna be on your ass now, dog. Hey, ball security, Johnson, you put that ball on the ground, you ain't gonna play. Hey, dog, if you ain't giving full effort, boy, look, your ass is grass. Like, it's certain things, like, that means more to that position coach.
Right. Yeah.
And so when you got the same guy, like, okay, then the expectation is always there. It's not, we got to figure it out again. Okay, well, we know Coach Lodeholt like this. Okay, now we got 3 new guys in here. We got to figure out what the hell they like. And I'm not saying it can't work, and I'm not attacking Colorado because it's happening other places too. But I don't think that's like the best way to build a championship program.
Yeah, that's a great point, Shaun. It is tough as a player. The hypothetical, or not hypothetical, but the scenario you mentioned at CU, having so much O-line turnover, and it's tough as a player, I can only imagine. And the biggest thing, and I will say, I think that's one of the reasons Prime brought in Andre Gerard is, you know, he played at CU. I believe he played with Prime in Dallas. I don't see him doing what Lodeholt did, which is coming for a year and then bouncing right at the end of the season.
Let me ask you a question. Why nobody don't want to stay in Colorado?
Why?
Yeah, everybody seems like they want to go, but then nobody want to stay. Is Prime hard to work for? What's going on up there, man?
2 things can be true, Shaun, like Darnell Smith says. I believe that Prime is providing exposure to these coaches because Damian Lewis goes to Miami, Lodeholt to Mississippi State. They're upgrading those that are leaving. Sean Lewis becoming the head coach. I also think that in Sean Lewis's case, probably particularly working for Prime probably is not easy and probably not. I'm sure there was some friction there. I don't know how Shedeur plays into all that as well. I can only imagine. But if my hypothetical scenario or guess is probably that.
I got you.
Well, Shaun, let's move forward here. Talk NFL draft here. Let me ask you this. NFL veteran safety, ESPN analyst Louis Riddick says that he does not want Shedeur Sanders to go in the top 3 picks. Take a listen.
Coordinator. Shedeur is someone who wants to be collaborative. He is someone that you want to talk with. He doesn't like to be told just this is the way we're going to do things, and then you're just going to need to fall in line.
Swaggo in here.
And he kind of he's earned that right because of the way he has played. This young man is going to be just fine. And you know what? I hope he doesn't go in the top 3 picks. I hope he doesn't. And I think his camp would tell you the same thing. There are other teams that they want to go to.
You could be in a better situation, obviously, if you fall. And we know how much that.
Shaun, Shedeur is set to meet with the Pittsburgh Steelers in Mike Tallman, your guy, and he's set to meet with Pete Carroll and the Raiders next week. Now, do you share the same sentiment as Louis Riddick? Do you think Shedeur should fall out of the top three, and would you not want him to go in the top three? Go ahead.
Man, I want the kid to just let it play out. It's gonna play out how it's gonna play out. It don't matter what I want, what Riddick want. Like, the one thing I would disagree on Riddick, and hell of a choice of words, collaborative. I like that. Being so collaborative is why I don't think Shedeur Sanders is the unquestioned #1 pick in this draft. He's been in this incubator that has an umbrella provided by his father that allows him to have so much input that, guess what? The data doesn't always get to the actual raw results.
Okay, yeah.
Shedeur needs to be coached hard. Like, Shedeur, this is bullshit what I'm watching. Like, what are we doing? And I don't want to hear a response. I want the film to talk.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we gave him how many sacks? How many of those sacks are on you? And let's go through this and let's sit down. And did we have an option to deliver the football in a timely fashion? But when your quarterback is collaborative, which is Shedeur's existed, he basically got the same amount of power as the OC. Right? Don't forget, in that one game, a lot of people don't talk about this, and it gets brushed under the rug because Prime is his dad. They had a big game last year that they lost, I think, where he audibled a 4th down run to a deep ball that he overthrew.
Are you talking about Kansas State?
I think it might have been the Kansas State game. Everybody's like, they were arguing with the play call, but I heard it was audible by Shedeur. So, I mean, like, being collaborative and being held accountable don't always go hand in hand. And this jump he's about to make, for him to become the best NFL quarterback he can become, he needs to go somewhere where somebody can continue to develop him. And he needs to forget everything he thinks he knows and just absorb all that experience, information, if he's fortunate enough to get in that situation. This is why I said I think he could end up on the Steelers, but I don't like him going to Pittsburgh. As good an organization as Pittsburgh is, the one position they absolutely suck at developing is quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
And then going somewhere with a player in the position of Mason Rudolph, a guy that had a chance to start briefly in Pittsburgh, probably feels like he didn't get a fair shake, goes to Tennessee, gets put in an impossible situation behind Will Levis, actually doesn't play terrible at the end of the year. Now he's sitting in the quarterback room with no competition. In his mind, he's finally getting his shot.
Yeah, that's true.
So to bring Shedeur into there, which I'm not saying whether Shedeur is better or not as good as Mason Rudolph, I don't think is in the best interest of Shedeur. Shedeur needs to go somewhere with a veteran quarterback that's not interested in being a starter. He's just glad to make a paycheck to tutor a young player. And with a quarterback coach that knows how to develop the position and an OC that's brilliant on the offensive side of the ball. And Shedeur needs to forget anything that he thinks he knows about playing quarterback and absorb and be a sponge and gain all of that legitimate information.
Yeah, and Shaun, going back to the Riddick's point of being collaborative, so to speak, you don't think Shedeur needs that? He needs coaching.
Hell no. Collaborative. How man, look, don't make me cuss. How somebody that never won a championship gonna come to the NFL level and be collaborative?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I don't.
And this is not a knock on Shedeur.
Especially Shedeur.
Yeah, this is every quarterback in this class, Cam Ward included.
Right.
Ain't none of y'all ever won shit. Like, as good as I think Cam Ward could be. Hey, Cam, listen, boy, we got some work to do. Because in an ACC that's as bad as it's been in 10 years.
Yeah.
With that talent you got in Miami, how many guys they had at the combine? 14?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You mean to tell me you couldn't get that team at least to the ACC title game?
Yeah, no excuses.
So, I mean, I don't think any quarterback in this group is a collaborative player. Not initially. I do like the word choice, though, Riddick.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, Shaun, there has been all kinds of mock drafts that come out about Shedeur Sanders, and they're all over the place. what is a team that wouldn't be collaborative with Shedeur and actually play a part in his development? You mentioned he wouldn't want to go to Pittsburgh for that exact reason, their lack of developing quarterbacks. Is there a team, look across all 32 teams here, is there a team that you could see him going to that would actually play a part in developing him and not be so-called collaborative?
So here's what I think is going to happen. Shedeur's going to drop. We're going to be sitting at 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere up in there.
You think Jerry Jones passed on him past 12? Woo.
Well, just because of the money he just paid Dak Prescott.
That's fair, yeah.
You know, he just paid Dak a $55 million a year deal, you know. And I think the Giants or the Browns are going to try and trade back into the first round to take Shedeur. That's what I think is going to happen. Having said that, the best landing spot on this board for Shedeur Sanders is 26 to the Los Angeles Rams.
And we headed to McVay, sit behind Stafford, get developed in the McVay.
Stafford talked about retiring. Stafford's an accomplished vet that Shedeur has no advantage over. He's never going to throw the ball as gifted as Stafford does. Yeah. He's never been as accomplished as Stafford is. Stafford's got a championship. Like, that's the room Shedeur needs to be in. And then he needs to learn from Stafford and McVay and then take over in a year or two when Stafford leaves. To me, that would be the best landing spot from a longevity career standpoint for Shedeur.
Wow.
And he still gets in a big market where he can do all his business deals, you know, but the football component of it, to me, that's what he needs to, in my opinion, have the best chance for longevity and elite success.
Damn, yeah. And Shaun, you're the first person I've even heard mention Shedeur to the Rams. I think the Rams, if you look at it and you get over the fact that Shedeur would be drafted at pick 26 unless they traded up, I think LA checks the Rams specifically check all the boxes. You're a big market, like you mentioned. You know, we know that Prime and Shedeur are looking for that. Specifically going into quarterback development, we know how Sean McVay is going to impact him from a quarterback development perspective. Him sitting behind Stafford, I think a lot of Stafford's strengths, so to speak, play to Shedeur's weaknesses, and Stafford could help mentor Shedeur, coach him out of some of these bad habits we saw last season at Colorado. Not saying Shedeur had a bad season at all, but we know damn well a lot of the sacks that Shedeur took, him running backwards, his habit of doing that, other habits as well, Stafford would be able to help coach out of them, so to speak. But, man, I think that checks all the boxes there in L.A.
Yeah, so I'm sure the camera, if he falls to 26, it'll be like a nightmare scenario, which let me say this. How in the hell is getting drafted in the first round of the NFL draft like failure?
I don't like. It's the prime sexual, Shaun.
America. Let's keep it a buck, man. Every little league football player in America right now wants to play in the NFL, and you ask every one of them. If I can guarantee right now, you'd be drafted in the first round, one of the top 32 picks in the world in that particular year, what would you say? Everyone would say, hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So listen, falling to 26 is not falling. Get the hell out of here. Falling is if you were supposed to be a first-round pick and you go in the fifth.
Right.
So let's stop this narrative like I got a late first-round grade on Shedeur. That's not hating.
No, it's not, Shaun. I agree with you. And your clip on Ross Tucker blowing up on Twitter, I can only imagine your inbox from the prime sexuals there. But no, I don't think what you said was hating at all. I thought it was real talk there, and I thought the noise coming from it and all the hate and then people calling you a hater, I thought that was crazy. And they don't watch probably don't watch the same game that you and I watch. But Shaun, last question I have for you moving forward off of Shedeur Sanders here. Lil Wayne visits Bill Belichick and North Carolina Tar Heels football. Now, Shaun, I could have never predicted seeing this in 2025. One, Belichick coaching college. Two, having Lil Wayne visit him coaching here. Now, Shaun, let me ask you, is this a smart recruiting tactic from Bill Belichick here, tuning in with the youth? And what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead.
Why does it surprise you? Wayne is cool with Brady. Wayne is cool with Kraft. So Belichick was obviously there. He just stayed out of the videos. And when they were at those Super Bowl parties and Kraft was dancing, I think they had Cardi B perform. Like, that environment, like that connection, like those relationships were significant when they were in New England. And, you know, Lil Wayne kind of loved everybody, I guess. I mean, I don't even know who Lil Wayne's favorite teams are anymore.
I don't think I don't think that apply.
Right. So that's an easy call for him because you know he's gonna come.
Yeah, and I was like, I saw Prime bring him up a year and a half ago, and now he's over in Chapel Hill here. Shaun, let me show you this. We got a first look at Bill Belichick mic'd up for UNC football here in North Carolina spring practice. Take a listen to this briefly.
One, Mondo, we got to get the gloves on these guys. Just holding on every play, usually twice. Hey, good route. That's the right idea. It's close. Good job on the split safeties. Yeah. We hit him in no huddle. We hit him here.
Shaun, I wanted to ask you. You're a quarterback, won a Super Bowl, and you've also coached college football. Now, I wanted to ask you the biggest differences in coaching from NFL to college football. What does Bill Belichick have to change from his days coaching in New England to now coaching at North Carolina? Go ahead.
Nothing, because college football is as close to NFL football now as it's ever been.
That's a very good point, Shaun. Absolutely.
You know, I was going to say the first thing generally that's different is the amount of resources you have in the NFL level, coach-wise, like, you know, training staff, strength and like it's just you got a bunch of people, so it's always help available. In college, remember, it used to be only 9 guys.
Yeah,
could be active on the field. So, you know, it was a lot more controlled by one person. But, you know, one of the things that he does that I love, and you're going to see this as that NFL influence comes in, is the DBs putting on those gloves. Because, like, I hate when you watch 1-on-1s and 7-on-7 and the goddamn DBs, every one of them is pass interference. They holding, they grabbing. And, like, that, to me, that's a great little nuanced ad that Belichick made. That's the best way to teach a DB not to hold, is to put those mitts on so he can't hold.
Yeah, absolutely. And there you see it right there, Shaun. You also
I couldn't tell you how many times I almost got in a fight with our secondary coaches because we throwing 1-on-1s and 7-on-7, and the DB has grabbed the receiver's jersey, got it wrapped up in his hand in a fist, and the ball falls incomplete, and the whole secondary is like celebrating like the next coming of Jesus Christ on the sideline. And I'm like, that's a flag. That's a penalty.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I'm an offensive lineman, Shaun, so this scenario in my head doesn't even. It's hilarious to me. I would have never thought of that, but now that you mention it and show this, I'm like, damn, I would have never thought that, but that makes complete sense. Unbelievable. But man, we got our first look here at Belichick coaching in North Carolina. Here he is with 4-star quarterback Bryce Baker. Now, I don't know if he's going to be the starter from North Carolina. We'll wait and see as we get close to the season. But we got our first look here at Belichick coaching, mic'd up here at UNC spring practice. Shaun, can't thank you enough for joining here. We talked about a lot of different topics here on today's show. I know you're a busy man. Can't thank you enough for joining. I appreciate you. Sneak peek for tomorrow. Your Coach JB show is going to be wild tomorrow. Can't wait to see you on there. Lots to talk about. And, man, I can't thank you enough for joining today, though. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, thank you for having me, man. Hey, y'all, me and Bailey got something big in the works, man. Hopefully we have some new news for y'all in a couple of weeks, man. Blessings to everybody. Love you, bro.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Shaun. Talk to you soon. Shout out to Super Bowl champion, Tulane legend, Shaun King joining the show. I appreciate him joining. Gives great perspectives on all the issues we talked about. Talked about Nico Iamaleava being in contract negotiations with Tennessee. Unbelievable. 2025 college football headline there. Also, DJ Lackway and the truth about his shoulder injury and him not throwing at spring practice. Nothing to be alarmed about there. Talked about that, Colorado losing Isaiah Gustav, and so much more. If you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. And I'd like to make an announcement here to all of the 0 to 60 fans, those who watch the 0 to 60 podcast with myself and Matt Machese. We will be back on Monday, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. We took a little hiatus here, and Matt and I sorted some stuff out behind the scenes, and now we're going to be back in full go here, headed into the 2025 season for the Colorado Buffaloes. We're going to have a lot to talk about on Monday, so you guys don't want to miss that show. Monday at 1 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about Colorado spring practice, Isaiah Gustav, Colorado's leading rusher from last season, entering the portal, or he's not with Colorado's football program anymore. We're going to talk about the NCAA denying Deion Sanders' request for joint spring practices. Matt's got something to say about that, so you don't want to miss that. We're just discuss that and so much more. So tune in on Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain for the return of 0 to 60. For those watching my show today, I appreciate you. Next week, we're going to have a new lineup here, a special guest. Tune in on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Going to have special guests here. I can't wait for you to see who I bring on here. We're going to have some new guests here, some notable guests, potentially some NFL Hall of Famers. If you're watching, I appreciate you. Hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army. If you'd like to donate, go ahead and hit that super chat button and leave any questions you got. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Great show here on this fine Thursday, and I'll be back tomorrow on Coach JB's show, producing Coach JB's show. It's going to be a wild one. Lots for JB to talk about here. He's already riled up about some shit here, including the Nico Iamaleava contract negotiation with technique discussion. So stay tuned for that tomorrow as well. I appreciate you all watching. Enjoy your Thursday. Peace.